Welcome, IT changemakers, to the DEX Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the DEX Show's show within a show, which is, of course, one of those very special editions of Reality Bytes, where we get to speak to a Nexthinker, a fascinating colleague of ours who will shed light on not only what they do and what makes Nexthink so special, but I think shed light on the nature of the modern tech vendor, on all the different parts that go into making a successful, effective product. Very, very excited to welcome him to the show momentarily. But first of all, I just want to welcome Dina to the show. It's just Dina and I today. We're a two-person Reality Bytes team, but it's lovely to be with you, Dina. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm all good. How are you?
I'm great. Everybody, of course, is on holiday. That is the basic.
So we can start to envy them a little bit, right? That they are on the beach somewhere
so.
having some fun.
Maybe you can, Dina, but I will be going away for a week myself in
oh,
just a few
okay.
hours' time
No
now.
envy then.
You can
no
envy
envy.
me. That's an envy my way, if you don't mind. You got anything planned yourself, Dina, for this summer? Still to come? I'm sure you'll be traveling.
Not yet, but maybe in autumn I'm gonna go snorkeling in Egypt, so that should be fun.
That sounds pretty fun. You can have my envy then. You can come and collect it. Okay.
Yeah,
And,
we'll do.
Excellent. So let's welcome our guest. He's Julien Machon, engineering manager here at Nexthink. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Julien, welcome to Reality Bytes. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I'm very good. Thanks for having me. Quite excited about that.
Excellent. We're excited too. I think we've kind of had when it comes to the product itself, we've had sort of strategic leaders. We've had people talking about testing the product. We've had people talking about like very sort of user interface and user experience. I think this is the first time we've really had the opportunity to delve into the engineering side of it, and so doubly excited to have you on for that reason. But I guess a good place to start, Julien, is tell us about your role. Tell us about the specific areas of the Nexthink platform that your team has responsibility for.
Yeah, sure. My name is Julien, engineering manager at Nexthink. And as an engineering manager, I'm working with several teams. And one of the team is in charge of domain web applications. So when you basically load Infinity, that's the team that is in charge of domain applications, loading the other feature teams applications. I'm also working with the team that is in charge of the UI consistency, making sure that we have shareable, UI components, the same drop-downs, the same tables, etc., across all applications. And I also work with the live dashboard team, so where you can create all your custom dashboards, widgets with MQL, etc. So these are my main areas of focus.
Great. So much for Dina and I to dig into there. And how big is your specific team, Julien, out of interest?
The teams are usually we try to keep 5-6 people maximum per team. So that's kind of roughly what I have, 3 times 6 basically.
Cool. And let's hear something about you and your story. It's obviously it's no walk in the park, I expect, your role and your skill set. So I'd be intrigued to know what the major milestones have been in your education and career leading to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in Nexthink is pretty amazing. So I don't know if my story really stands out, but so I studied computer science back in France, where I'm from. And after my first 2 years of university, I had the opportunity to do an exchange in Europe. We have this thing called Erasmus exchange. So I moved to Scotland because I wanted to learn English. And there's no greater place than Scotland.
That was a mistake. No, I shouldn't say that. That's it's not easy.
It was, I think it was a bit surprising, but to be honest, I mean, anywhere would have been a bit difficult. I was pretty bad. So it was double challenge, trying to finish my studies, but also trying to learn a new language. And after my bachelor, which I finished in Edinburgh, I got my first job as a developer. I was working for a digital agency, so it was really customer focused, which really improved my communication skills because always different customers, big customers, and it was great. And we were building websites and CRMs and stuff like this. Then I moved to the consultancy side, where I basically worked with different kind of organizations, financial companies, banks, etc. And then I also worked for a lottery actually, which was fantastic. It was really. It was People Postcode Lottery, which I think is it's quite a thing in the UK.
Oh yeah, sure.
And it was great. I mean, it was a fantastic experience. Working with lots of data, etc. And it's a Dutch company, and in the Netherlands they're massive. And I don't know if you know this show called Deal or No Deal, which I think we have in most countries.
Sure. I know. Yeah.
In the Netherlands, it's actually attached to Postcode Lottery, so we had to make sure we have the right infrastructure in place when you have a live TV show. It was a fantastic experience,
Okay.
And so that was my when I started to get my first experience with the cloud, really proper experience. And then my wife actually got an opportunity. She got transferred to Switzerland, so I followed her. And I arrived at Nexthink back in 2020, I believe.
I didn't expect it to be so sort of British, this work history, Julien. So many things I know about, and maybe the audience doesn't necessarily. Postcode lottery, would that work in America? It's like your area code in America, basically, and you can win if you enter as a community, something like this. I certainly know what it is. But one thing it reminded me of, Julien, you were a football fan.
Not quite, no.
Not quite. But you perhaps know who Alex Ferguson is, right?
Yes, of course. Of course,
yeah. The famous manager of Manchester United, one of the most famous football managers of the last century. And it was always funny because he has a really strong accent, a really strong Scottish accent. And of course, it's an international football club. So, it would have so many players from around the world, and you'd always have, when they'd sign a new player, you'd always have them like looking profoundly confused as they tried to adapt their perfectly good English to a very strong Scottish accent. And I always wondered how he even managed to do it, because even as an Englishman, I was like, what's he saying? What was that? What was that? I have no idea. But sorry, and I know Dina now is wants to ask you about your time at Nexthink specifically. So I should hand the mic over.
That's a very impressive story, Julien. Really, how much of a transition was it when you first came on board, and when did you join Nexthink? And mostly, what was the principal challenge of joining the organization?
I guess it was kind of a natural transition, I would say, to join Nexthink. For me, similar, area of work, etc. One of the main challenge, obviously, without mentioning the fact that we were in full pandemic, so this has its own sort of set of challenges. But I guess that was the beginning of the transition from the on-prem. At the beginning, we were like the early month of the transition between the on-prem product to the cloud product. So we had just started working on experience, and I guess one of the main challenge was to get your head around it. The product is very powerful, has lots of functionality. So just that in itself, you need to get up to speed, but also you need to get your head around, what is V6 and what is experience, and then shortly after, we started working on what we now call Infinity. So I guess that was the main challenge, and of course all of this during pandemic, no office, and which brings this own set of challenges in a sense, because you only interact mostly with people you work with closely. So there's no coffee machine chats and stuff like that might bring you some external knowledge or things like this. And so I guess that's it.
Interesting times, but we've made it.
Hey, yeah.
So, from your perspective, what are the main challenges facing IT professionals today, and where is the best opportunity to help them?
Well, I guess, interestingly, I think I can probably make the parallel with some of the challenges we have as engineers, and it's probably, the size of your company, or like how to scale. When as a software engineer, when you're like by yourself and you're writing one piece of software that you have, you can keep an eye on it and you know how it's behaving and you can instantly see issues because that's your main focus. But as soon as you start having hundreds of microservices in different clusters in the clouds, then it becomes really difficult to have this kind of like single picture. So for me, I can make the parallel with in the IT world, where if you're part of a company that has thousands of employees, how do you keep an eye on how they're doing, how their machines is behaving? How do you maintain all of this? So this probably is kind of like the scaling issue, I guess, probably one of the most challenging.
Yeah, true. And what is the key to building successful dashboards, and how do you measure that success?
So I think building successful dashboards is, you need to. Oh, that's a good question, actually. I think for me a good dashboard should be readable. The information, you can have a lot of information on the dashboard, and you should quickly get a sense of are things okay, are things not okay. That's the first thing. I think that a good dashboard should also allow you to drill down if you suspect there's an issue somewhere. And I guess in a sense, the dashboard should be actionable. A good dashboard, should be actionable and readable. This is how I would define a good dashboard. And in terms of measuring that success, this is hard. KPIs are hard to come with. I guess you could keep track on how many incidents were you able to proactively fix, by, with this dashboard. How much time do you actually spend on that dashboard, etc. I think sometimes, you can create a dashboard to get a quick understanding on how things are, but you don't necessarily go back to it, and therefore maybe it's not the best dashboard.
True. But I think the dashboards, whether like live dashboards as we have them now, they are becoming very, very powerful. And the fact that we're able to correlate and measure success from, like you just mentioned, different KPIs, it makes the dashboard very vivid, as in it's actionable. You're able to drill down, you're able to measure actually how many have been fixed, whether that will go to an ITSM tool or just clearly states how many minutes have been saved, how many hours have been saved, or even the avoided time of an issue to take place. So I think that's one of the most brilliant things that we have right now. So thank you, and thanks for the team,
No
for
problem.
everybody who's really working hard for that. We really enjoy using it in the day-to-day life in the field with our customers. So we really enjoyed seeing you and many of your colleagues respond to those customer reviews. And I was interested in what, if any, idea you otherwise have of customer experience, real-world usage, feedback, etc. And how is it able to influence your work in the day-to-day life?
I'm always interested in customer feedback. Of course, I'm engineering. We always say engineering and product, but for me, engineering is product, or product is engineering. I don't know, we're just one thing. We don't do things without the customer in mind. So for me, this is key, and these feedbacks are super important. I think I always I have a really good partnership with the product managers of Live Dashboard, for instance, and so I'm always interested in all the different customer feedback. And I think one of them is that I think live dashboards are very powerful, and they get better and better every release. And you can probably say the same with other parts of the product. But one thing that is very important, and where I think, and where I know we're putting a lot of effort on as well, is how do we link all these things together? Because I think you get great experience in each of the features, but sometimes it takes a bit of gymnastic, to go from one to another. This is, for me, a really important feedback, and this is something I really try to prioritize as well, in terms of of course, I don't necessarily. I always have an input in maybe the product decisions that we're taking, but I also make sure that from an engineering point of view, we do things so things are linked, things correlate, things are compatible, because this is really important and really key.
Julien, you mentioned you're involved. This is a curveball for you, by the way, but you mentioned your involvement in the development of Infinity, and it coming kind of relatively soon after you joined the organization, which I'm sure was no small undertaking. And we know from having Sam Gantner on the show, his sense of pride in Infinity is really inspiring and something you can't really miss. And I'm sure you feel something like that yourself about it. Talk to us about that process a little bit, if you would. When you came on board, or when it was first introduced to you, how was it framed? And also, what were the biggest challenge you encountered in the production of that?
Oh, that's it's a tough one. It feels like a while ago, actually. I'm trying to remember how it was framed, but I think the message was we want to be a cloud native company, and right now we are 99. I mean, when I joined, we were 100% on prem. So the message was pretty clear. We want to be an on-prem, a cloud company. But at the same time, the decision, I think we really wanted to make sure that the transition was as smooth as possible for our customers. And for me, that's kind of message I remember. And I guess the main challenge during that process was always, are we trying to recreate exactly the feature we have, or are we trying to build something new? And I think you could probably say that this is still a bit of a challenge, in the sense that even though the platform is quite mature and powerful now, I think it's because it's in between, in the sense, we're not trying to create something new. We're still trying to solve the same problems, but we're trying to solve it in a different way, in a better way, and therefore it means that, well, it's not a matter of parity, of just blindly recreating what we already had. It's kind of like rethinking it and making it better. So that's, I guess it's the constant challenge. Yeah, that for me for sure was a big challenge.
That is so well put. Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's like one very typical example with live dashboards was we had in V6 we had the concept of metrics, your computed metrics, and when I bootstrapped the dashboard project. In my mind, it was, well, we need, this, it's real time. And I think most people, had real time in mind. We have NQL, we can query the data as it is right now, and that's the dashboards we have. So we don't have to wait the next day to get the data on my dashboard. And, and everyone was so excited about this, etc. And, but then, we started thinking, well, maybe there are performance limitations, and maybe we have to actually maybe the metric solution is the solution. Why do we start maybe we shouldn't reinvent something new, etc. And so there was a large moment of time where we really investigated the computed metrics or the trends, etc. And we were kind of like balancing the two. And what we have today is we're just using NQL. It's real-time data. We have dynamic filtering, etc., things that we were not able to have in V6. So in the sense, we have this new element super powerful, and we have tons of new ideas, by the way. But interestingly enough, we're still thinking of bringing the trends, but more to cover some different use cases. So yeah, it's always in between.
I think I just thought of the episode title. I think, Julien, Engineering Infinity. It sounds about as complicated as it presumably was. Speaking of which, where'd you get your most satisfaction and pride from your role?
Probably as any engineer, solving problems. This is like super satisfying. But most importantly, it's probably the getting something done. Like knowing that someone is using something you've created or something you've participated. This is super satisfying. Knowing that, you're making someone's at least one person's life easier somewhere on the planet. This is cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. And the last word from you, kind of related to that a little bit, but what do you like most about being a Nexthinker, more generally, about the culture, about the company?
I mean, the people, I would say. I'm pretty sure everybody replies the people. But it's so true. Honestly, we're all from different countries. We have different backgrounds, but we're all passionate. We love, I've never worked somewhere where everybody loves what they do. Like they love the job, and but also, we really believe in the product we're building, and so this is like a super nice combo. It's like I like my job and I like what I do, what I build.
Fantastic.
And sometimes you have conversations or meetings, etc. With it doesn't really feel like work. It's more like passionate people trying to solve something and get something done. So I really like that. I like the people and the culture we have.
Super cool. Well, we've liked talking to you very much, Julien. I think it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. And look, sincere thanks for being behind the scenes, making such an amazing product. It makes everything Dina, I, and so many other colleagues do possible. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was super fun.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.